Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestle News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there is a ton of news stories to get into today. So let's get into today's AEW stories, and let's start off talking about Eddie Kingston, because Eddie Kingston's caught a bit of controversy, a bit of a stir on social media. Frankly, I'll be totally honest and upfront here. I don't really get what this stir is really about that much. This is one of those situations whereby people have really cultivated, ever since AEW came into existence in 2019, and people initially were very excited about AEW, right? Yes, competition and having real competition back, having an alternative to WWE. That maybe competition isn't even the right word. An alternative. Having an alternative to WWE, not having a monopoly on the business, having multiple different places for pro wrestlers to work and do their art and do their work and just make a living and entertain fans, right? That's what people were excited about. Very quickly, though, the AEW and WWE fan bases, respective because they are different, started going against each other, and suddenly it really turned into a competition, and suddenly it's turned into a war. And it's all about rivalries, and you can only like WWE and you cannot like AEW. You can only like AEW and you can't like WWE. You can't like both. You can't like pro wrestling. This is what happened with the Wednesday Night Wars. Social media got so toxic because if you supported or you said you liked Dynamite on Wednesday nights, then the NXT crowd would come after you. That's not real pro wrestling. It's just outlaw mud show with no psychology. And then if you like WWE, you're a WWE corporate shill and you weren't liking the new modern pro wrestling. It was just ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. If you liked anything, you were a shill. If you criticized something, you were a shill for the other thing. It was madness, absolute madness. So I suppose I can kind of understand why people have got such an uproar about this, but it's just ridiculous. Anyway, the story goes after AEW World Champion Kenny Omega retained his AEW World Championship against Jungle Boy in the main event of Dynamite on Saturday. Omega looked to clock Jungle Boy with the title. He was chased off by Christian Cage. Matt Hardy and Private Party ran out, nearly got the best of Christian, but Matt Hardy's twist of fate was reversed into Christian Cage's kill switch finish. As Cage turned around, the AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks, double super kicked him down. Omega and his buddy celebrated as Dynamite went off the air. But then they were chased off by Eddie Kingston and Penta El Zero Miedo, who had chairs with them. Kingston and Penta, of course, are set to meet Matt and Nick Jackson in a non-title match next week on Dynamite. If Penta and Kingston win, they get a shot at the tag team titles. Once the dust settled, though, Eddie Kingston got the mic to thank the live crowd and send them home happy. But he ended up throwing a few shots towards WWE. Didn't even refer to him by name, actually. He just referred to him as the competition. And this is what he had to say, quote, "That's what I'm talking about, because the competition sometimes doesn't want to hear their fans. Oh, I'm burning another bridge. Surprise, ladies and gentlemen." Ladies and gentlemen, AEW cares about their fans because we are not here to get ourselves a paycheck. We are here every week with you people, without you people, and we come out here and we bust our asses. We love professional wrestling. You saw a match between Kenny Omega and my dude Jungle Boy that you will not see on the other channel. You will not see legends who are respected on the other channel. You will not see people like me and my best friend, Penta, on the other channel. And you will not see the heart that everybody in the locker room has on the other channel. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm supposed to send you home happy, but I'm speaking from my heart. The bottom line is this. We are AEW. We will see you on Wednesday, and we want to hear you. Now, of course, Dynamite returns to its regular Wednesday night time slot next week. Now, initially, this is what is quite interesting against this one, I guess. Initially, this was a post-show promo that they do all the time. If you've ever been to, not just an AEW, but if you've been to any live event in general, or any television taping especially, they'll do the closing show angle, and then the babyface will get the mic, send the crowd home happy, or maybe the heel, there'll be a little post-show angle or whatever that will send the crowd home happy, then they'll leave. That's what will happen, right? And that's what happens after every television taping, every AEW taping, every WWE taping, every whatever taping. That's what always happens, right? A lot of the time it's Jon Moxley. I remember the time after the explosion at Revolution, Jon Moxley got on the microphone and said, Kenny Omega doesn't know how to build an exploding ring or whatever. They do this all the time. Dustin Rhodes, when he had his bull rope match a couple of weeks ago, he sent the crowd home happy. That's what they do, right? So that's nothing atypical. It's not just Eddie Kingston randomly getting on the mic going, "I'm gonna bash WWE." Blah, blah, blah. That's not what happened here. That's really not what happened here. Look, these things happen, and again, when I hear this kind of stuff, I don't know if it's just because I've heard it all before, and I'm just so over it that it doesn't even resonate with me anymore. But I really don't mind. I really really don't mind, right? He's getting the crowd to go home happy, and those, you have to think of it, I guess, from a monetary point of view as well, that maybe those crowds, like they've bought tickets to go to watch AEW, but they might go buy tickets to watch WWE as well. And maybe Eddie Kingston's taken it upon himself to saying, you know what, these crowd, I'm going to turn them into AEW fans. And it's all about AEW versus the rest of the world. It's kind of cultivate an atmosphere and cultivate a feeling. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And I know so many people have got so upset. And I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I really don't. I can't. I don't want to repeat myself, but I don't get what people are so angry about here. That enough of AEW bashing WWE and enough of WWE. You don't see WWE taking shots at AEW on the air. Blah blah blah. Why do AEW have to always reference WWE? And when does a new character come over? Do they always have to bash WWE and all this kind of stuff? I'm with you partially. When a new character comes over, I don't really care for them to say, I didn't get the glass ceiling in this other company, but I will here. Blah blah blah. I don't care about that. But this kind of stuff, it wasn't even meant for the air. If it hadn't generated so much attention on social media, they wouldn't have even released it. Again, it's like the Revolution situation all over again, whereby it was a case of someone posted it on social media that was in attendance. Some live fan videoed it, posted it, and said, look, I was there, and this is what Eddie Kingston said. It got a bit of traction, and the AEW social media people went, you know what, actually, maybe it's worth posting on social media. It's getting some attention. Screw it. Let's post it on social media. And again, it's just the whole, I don't want AEW to take shots at WWE, and I don't want WWE to take shots at AEW. I'm tired of it. Just exist in your own realities. But then at the same time, you've got the fans of AEW going, rah, rah, yeah, they're right, Eddie Kingston's right. And then you've got the WWE stands going, I can't believe they were taking shots. Or why are you focusing on the competition? Focus on yourself. You haven't got that many viewers and all this kind of stuff. And it's just, who cares? Realistically, who cares? Eddie Kingston probably just did it just to pop the live crowd. It's as simple as that. He just did it to pop the live crowd. He didn't think it was going to be released. Maybe it's naive of him to think that it was going to be recorded. I don't even think he ever thought about anything of the such, right? Maybe, and I think he genuinely feels that. He feels passionate about AEW. He's seen as a bit of a locker room leader. We've seen those clips time and time again of Eddie Kingston. But the fans that are trying to turn it into something when it's nothing, come on. Enjoy the programming. I don't want to sound like Triple H, but enjoy the programming or whatever. But you don't need to. Everything doesn't have to be this just constant, raw, war. Because they're the same people every single time that when AEW doesn't exist, they're the same people that are saying, I just wish there was an alternative. Or I wish there was places to go. Or I wish there was other places that pro wrestlers could go to. And I wish there was a viable alternative. And I wish WWE was better. And I wish this and I wish that. And then they get it. And then they say, why are you taking shots at WWE all over again? It's constant. It is just constant, and I don't even think it's that big of a story. I really don't. I really don't think it's that big of a story. I don't, people take shots at each other all the time, and the reason they do it is because just this, people talk about it. And frankly, I'd rather be talking about the pro wrestling. I'd rather be talking about good angles and good wrestling. I don't want to be talking about social media drama of fans, stands going against each other that are just bizarrely loyal to each promotion. I think that's the real thing we have to talk about, is this group, and it's on both sides here, a group of fans, whether they're WWE or AEW, that are just fiercely loyal for no reason, fiercely loyal to one other promotion that they can't see the faults in the respective promotions because neither product is perfect. I mean, one could argue that, AEW might be maybe a more enjoyable watch, but it's far from perfect. I mean, there certainly are segments that I just think aren't hits. There are certainly, matches where I think the psychology's way off. There's certainly things that, they have to definitely improve on. There's no doubt about that. And it's the same with WWE. They do some good stuff. Roman Reigns is arguably the biggest pro wrestler in the world right now and doing some of the best work in the world right now. And I'll praise it until he stops being just like that. But there are certainly parts of that show, SmackDown, Raw, NXT, whatever, that I'll say that's, parts of that are just, they're misses. They lack logic. They lack psychology and all this kind of stuff. I'm not fiercely loyal to either side. I like what I like and I don't like what I don't like. But the people that are just they're willing to overlook just glaring issues with each one's respective products for this weird tribalistic loyalty, I just don't understand. And I think the Eddie Kingston thing just kind of touched on that this week of just some people just, whether it's, rah, 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 well, yes, AEW and rah, 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 WWE, who cares? Who cares, honestly? Anyway, speaking of Saturday Night Dynamite, because I do want to talk about a bit of wrestling, because isn't that the most important thing here? Kenny Omega retained the AEW World Championship this past weekend against Jungle Boy. Obviously, Jungle Boy won the Casino Battle Royale at Double or Nothing to earn this opportunity. But Kenny Omega got the victory. Jungle Boy was inches away from stunning the wrestling world when he locked in the snare trap on the AEW champion twice. However, in the end, Omega poked the eyes of Jungle Boy, which allowed him to send his challenger face first into the turnbuckle. That spot turned the tide in the favor of Omega. Then he connected with a V-trigger, Tiger Driver 98, and finally the One-Winged Angel to retain the AEW Championship in a grueling battle. We mentioned what happened in the post-match segment as the show went off the air as well. Look, I thought the match was very good. This is, I think, a great example. I've said this time and time again of matches where you go into it going, I know the outcome. I know what the outcome's going to be. This was a live show, but you know what the outcome's going to be. Kenny Omega's going to retain the AEW World Championship here. There was no chance, no way that Jungle Boy was going to win the title here, because that's just not the plan. That just isn't what's going to happen, and it's not the right time for Jungle Boy to win at all. But the aim of this match, the objective of this match, the goal of this match for those involved was to find a way. Can we find a way to do some believable near falls, to do some false finishes that truly, truly gets those in attendance and those watching at home going, wait a minute, they might actually switch the title here. If they can make you believe for a split second that Jungle Boy was going to win that match, then they achieved what they needed to achieve, and that's exactly what they did. This is a great example of a match whereby, yes, the outcome was predictable, but they still had a great match that was enjoyable. And Kenny Omega, you can tell he's hurting. By watching the match. Certainly at several points in that match, you do go, he looks to be in a bit of pain. And I spoke about it before. This is a guy that's keeping up, schedules as 3 world champions at this point. The schedule this guy is keeping up is outrageous, frankly. But he's keeping up this crazy, crazy schedule as 3 world champions, and I don't know how much longer he is going to do it. I think the first bit of the tower that needs to fall, to be honest, is the AEW World Championship before he drops any other world title. So I don't know when that would be. I suspect All Out. Who that is against? I mean, logic would suggest maybe Christian. Christian's been floating around Kenny Omega since his debut, right? Since his first debut appearance on Dynamite way back in March. That first confrontation was against Kenny Omega, and maybe it's against Christian, but I don't see that. I see Christian turning heel on Jungle Boy and trying to get over Jungle Boy even more, and I think that's the best use for Christian, frankly. But maybe that will happen later on down the line. Maybe that's the long-term storytelling that's going to happen at maybe Full Gear. It's going to be Christian versus Jungle Boy. Maybe Christian gets his opportunity at the AEW World Championship first. Whether or not that happens at All Out, I suspect that probably actually happens at maybe one of the TV specials, whether that's, well, probably not Road Rager, but maybe, Fight Fest or Fight for the Fallen, something like that. I could see that happening, but I think that will happen in the future. But obviously, thought the match was brilliant. Thought absolutely brilliant. Really, really enjoyed it. And Kenny Omega just continues to be just fantastic. And Jungle Boy's just got a ton of potential. What I did really like, and I did want to touch on this because I did criticize Jungle Boy for it before, is he did that interview with Busted Open Radio where he basically said, every time I'm asked to do a promo, I basically say no. I try and run away because I don't like to do it and I'm not very good at it. I like that he cut a promo this week. And was it amazing? No. But that's what he needs to do. He needs to do and he needs to learn. So I credit Jungle Boy for doing that as well, especially after those comments that he made previously. Chris Jericho has spoken openly about blood and guts. Now, he brought back the Saturday night special stream he often did throughout the pandemic when fans were at home. And these Saturday nights special streams, they were just a gold mine. They were literally a gold mine for news and information when it comes to Jericho, because obviously he's so outspoken and he's very influential in AEW. He knows lots of things. So he had a lot of insider stories. So during the show, a fan asked him what Jericho's toughest bump was. And he went with falling off the cage at AEW Blood and Guts, which certainly has got a lot of people talking. Now, of course, near the end of the match, MJF threatened to push Jericho and Inner Circle member Sammy Guevara pushed Jericho off the cage, and Inner Circle member Sammy Guevara surrendered to stop the match. MJF ended up pushing Jericho off the cage anyway. Jericho went about 15 feet backwards and down towards the ramp, landing on a thin bit of plywood and cardboard boxes. It was very obvious there was padding, which got heavily criticized for the camera work that was going to happen for it. He said, quote, "I'm not even going to address the criticism for it. It was taking a bump off the top of the cage at Blood and Guts. It was terrifying because I've never done anything like that before. It was not a crash pad that I fell on. There were cardboard boxes that were basically set up across the board. You fall on them, and I guess cardboard kind of softens the blow. The piece of plywood over the top was not even as thick as this book, and I was scared. I really was, because I didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean? What's it going to be like when I hit? It was hard. I mean, it really did. The elbow injury is legit. Just so you guys know, it's not a work. It came from that because I hit the side of the stage and then my head missed the back of it by just a little bit. If you see it, there's a bunch of spotlights and stuff. Now, despite getting injured, fans and some within the business made fun of Jericho's drop, mostly due to the camera angles AEW went with. It didn't make the fall look as impressive as it was. Jericho didn't mince his words in regards to those who laughed. He said, quote, "People bagged on it can really F their ass because it was dangerous. It was scary. I was saying prayers before. I was a little bit worried because you never know. It was a legit 15-foot drop. Nesty plunge. You can't see behind and you hope for the best. It was something I thought about all day. No one had to convince me to do it because I knew it was right for the story. But like I said, people didn't respect the bump. People that didn't respect the bump aren't really fans. People in the business that were kind of bagging on it should know better, because it's not something that you would really want anybody to do, because it's dangerous and it can affect you for your life if it goes wrong." And Jericho then reiterated he didn't appreciate the jokes, especially from those in WWE, and he noted he'll remember that if they ever come calling for a job in AEW. He said, quote, "People laugh at that sort of stuff, but there's no reason to, because this is a real deal and it can happen at any time. Best of luck to anybody in our business, and anybody that bags on someone who's taking a chance and putting their bodies on the line can really F off, especially people in this business. I could say some names. There's a couple of chicks in WWE said some stuff, and they should probably not have said that. They probably weren't trained any better, and in 6 months they'll probably be asking us for a job anyways, and I'll remember that, so I'll leave it at that." Now, I don't know if I necessarily agree on what Jericho said at the end there. I mean, I guess heat's a part of pro wrestling, right? But to say, like, well, you should have criticized me because I'm not going to get you a job seems very, I don't know about that. This is pro wrestling at the end of the day, and business is business. If you think if Vince McMahon held a grudge, the amount of people that wouldn't go back to WWE, that's a bit, I don't know if I necessarily agree on that. But, I do agree on Jericho in the sense that the guy fell off a cage 15 feet in the air. Of course he was scared. I mean, you fall off 15 feet in the air onto anything, let alone if it was a crash pad, if it was cardboard boxes, whatever, onto a stage. And like he said, he was very close to hitting his head. And if he obviously dislocated his elbow, obviously, it's a serious drop and it's a serious injury. And I was one of those people that wasn't mocking Jericho for it. I said that AEW possibly could have shot it better, but I wasn't mocking Jericho at all for a bad bump or anything like that. I mean, I said that people that were mocking in terms of falling onto the crash pads or that kind of stuff, I thought was ludicrous. What do you want? You want a guy to fall from 15 feet for real and possibly kill himself? I mean, it's outrageous. So I thought those criticisms were just ridiculous, frankly. Again, I don't know about Jericho in the sense that, well, if you come calling for a job, I'm not going to give it you. I mean, that's a bit, that's not really his call, frankly. But I think a lot of people saw this story, and when he said it was the toughest bump I've ever took, people went, oh, but the reality, I mean, again, it's a 15-foot drop. Rikishi did the exact same drop at Hell in a Cell in 2000. He landed on a crash pad too. He had a real bad spinal injury because of that. Same with Jericho, dislocated his elbow. It's no joke. Irrespective of whatever, it's no joke. And I always felt people criticizing it at the time for Jericho, falling on a crash pad. I thought were nuts. I thought absolutely insane. Again, could it be shot better? Absolutely. But that's something to learn for the future, right? This is a young company. Speaking of matches for the future, a coffin match and title match has been set for upcoming AEW Dynamite shows. This past week on Dynamite, Ethan Page defeated Bear Bronson in a singles match. After the match, Page got on the mic and said he knows his feud with Darby Allin isn't over, despite recently getting a victory over Allin. Page has been saying over and over that he wants to put the final nail in Allin's coffin, but decided he wants to actually put his rival in one. Page then challenged Allin to a coffin match at Dynamite Road Rager on July 7 in Miami, Florida. Allin has yet to respond, and the match hasn't been made official by AEW, but that's likely to happen soon. Vicky Guerrero also revealed that Nyla Rose will challenge for the AEW Women's World Championship on July 22nd at Fyter Fest Night 2. Now, as far as the coffin match, again, I don't know if this is just a casket match. I would assume so. I know they have done coffin matches before. They did one in Impact. I think it was Bully Ray versus Ken Anderson or something like that. So I suppose that kind of makes sense, right? I'm kind of ready for the whole Ethan Page, Darby Allin, Sting, Scorpio Sky thing to be over. To be honest, I wasn't massive on it continuing post Double or Nothing anyway. But maybe this is just Road Rager as the end point, and then we can move on to other stuff. So excited to see what that coffin match entails. We saw Konnan appear this past week on AEW Dynamite as well. Konnan made a rare appearance as he confronted FTR's mentor Tully Blanchard which was excellent. Now, what was fascinating was the closing moments of the segment. Tully Blanchard was talking, and out seemingly came Santana and Ortiz. Then they pulled up to the big screen and saw Santana and Ortiz laying in the backstage area after they'd been taken out. In reality, it was FTR dressed up as Santana and Ortiz. Then they hit the spike pile driver on Konnan. Yes, Konnan took a bump, which was certainly very, very interesting. I really enjoyed the segment. I think Konnan's an underrated promo. He's got a very distinctive style. There's no doubt about that. I thought Tully Blanchard is obviously Tully Blanchard on the mic. He's excellent at what he does. So I enjoyed it, and credit to Konnan for taking the bump. I mean, it wasn't a pretty one, certainly, and look, taking a spike pile driver. This is a guy, I think he's had both of his hips replaced, and he's had kidney issues and all that kind of stuff, and arguably his career was actually ended quite prematurely because of those same kidney issues and all that kind of stuff. He had to be on dialysis, and I think he had a kidney transplant and all that kind of stuff. So he's had certainly his health issues. So to be taking spike pile drivers, I think he's like nearly 60, is, credit to him. It might be his last bump he ever takes in terms of the pro wrestling business, but I think this is all eventually, I hope, to Santana and Ortiz winning the AEW World Tag Team Championships. I know FTR aren't the champions right now, but I hope that eventually it leads to Santana and Ortiz winning the tag team titles, hopefully at the Grand Slam Dynamite in New York, because that reaction is just going to be great. It's just going to be fantastic. It really is. So I enjoyed the segment between Tully and Konnan this past week on Dynamite. Finally, AEW star Trent has revealed that he has undergone neck surgery. Yes, this is quite a serious story, actually. AEW star Trent underwent neck fusion surgery last week. He tweeted photos with the caption, quote, "Neck fusion surgery went well." Trent's most recent match was on AEW Dynamite on April 21st, in a loss against Penta El Zero Miedo. Earlier this year, he was out of action for 3 months after a partially torn pec. He made his return on the March 31 edition of AEW Dynamite during the Arcade Anarchy match. Now, again, you can see the photos there. I mean, horrible. I don't know. Any neck surgery is very serious. Very, very serious. So hopefully it's not super, super serious neck surgery. But again, neck surgeries are always serious. So fingers crossed it's not bad, and fingers crossed he's not out for too long. But time will only tell. But it sucks. Again, he's had an injury-filled year, first with that partially torn pec and now with the neck surgery. So hopefully, touch wood, he can be back soon. But unfortunate news to say the least. But look, guys, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on all of these AEW news stories we've spoken about today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, WWE, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community. Drop a comment below. Be sure to like and share the video as well. And subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Click the notification bell. You won't miss a future video that we do. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or have you come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.